They say if you're too quiet, the world walks past you. That people only listen to the loud ones. That silence means weakness. But what if, silence is where strength lives? I was born in the quiet corners of the world, where thoughts are louder than voices, where emotions are oceans no one ever sees, and where the heart screams, but the lips stay still. This is not a story of a hero. It's the story of a ghost. A ghost, who learned how to become real. I never cried when I was born. Or so they said. As a toddler, I didn't demand toys. I didn't throw tantrums. I sat in corners and played alone. While the other kids fought over who gets the red crayon, I waited patiently for the blue one. Teachers said I was too calm. Relatives said, she's shy, she'll grow out of it. But I wasn't shy. I was just observing. Always observing. In kindergarten, I didn't speak unless asked. I watched how the other children laughed, how they fit into each other's conversations like puzzle pieces. I couldn't find where I belonged. Birthday parties terrified me. Crowds. Choking. Group games. Exhausting. Talking to strangers. Like walking on a wire over fire. My mother would often whisper, "Why don't you go play with them?" I'd nod. Walk toward the kids. Then stop halfway. They laughed at things I didn't find funny. They pushed, shouted, ran wild. And I felt like an alien on my own planet. At school, being quiet was considered a flaw. When the teacher asked a question, hands would shoot up. I knew the answer. Always did. But my hand? It stayed down. Not because I was unsure, but because I feared the spotlight. Participation marks matter, they'd say. I tried once. Raised my hand. Voice cracked. Words stumbled. Laughter. Humiliation. I never raised it again. Class projects were my worst nightmare. Can you speak for the group? They'd ask. My throat would tighten. My mind would blank. I became the silent one. The one people copied homework from but didn't invite to the lunch table. Sometimes I'd sit in the library, staring out the window, wondering. What's wrong with me? Why can't I be like them? The bell would ring. The hallway would roar to life. I'd walk through it like a shadow. No one saw me. But I saw everything. By age 13, I had mastered the art of disappearing in plain sight. People forgot my name. Group photos. I stood in the back. Class parties. I wasn't invited. And if I was, I'd make excuses not to go. It wasn't that I hated people. I just didn't know how to be around them. Lunchtime was a daily test. Do I sit alone and look pathetic? Or try to sit with others and feel worse? Sometimes I chose the bathroom stall. Just for silence. Just for relief. I remember crying once, quietly in my bed, pillow over my face so no one would hear. I had no words for the sadness I felt. Just a heaviness that stayed. My parents thought I was fine. My grades were good. But no one asked how I felt. No one noticed the slow fade. No one saw the mask. It was a regular Thursday when it happened. English class. We were told to write a short story. I wrote about a lonely bird who lost its voice but found its wings. The next week, the teacher called my name. She said, "Would you like to read your story aloud?" My stomach turned. Everyone stared. I said no. She nodded, but the next day, she read it herself. Aloud. To the class. Silence followed. And then, applause. Not loud. Not wild. But real. For the first time, my words had been heard, without me speaking them. That was the moment. The first time I thought, maybe I do have a voice, just not the kind they expect. College was supposed to be a fresh start. It was worse. New city. New faces. New volume. Intro classes were icebreakers and group presentations. People talked endlessly. I didn't know how to jump in. Roommates went out every night. I stayed in. With headphones. And books. I tried to fake it for a while. Went to parties. Smiled too much. Laughed when I didn't get the joke. But inside, I was shrinking. By second semester, I was invisible again. This time, it felt permanent. No one saw the ache behind my eyes. No one knew I skipped meals just to avoid the cafeteria. No one noticed I walked alone, always. But something changed. I started journaling. Every night, I'd pour my thoughts onto the page. No filter. No judgment. It was the only place I existed fully. Second year. A new professor. Soft-spoken. Thoughtful. Kind eyes. She asked me once, "Why don't you speak in class?" I panicked. Mumbled something about being shy. She smiled. Shy is different. You're not shy. You're reflective. It's not a weakness. That word, reflective, it wrapped around me like a blanket. She gave me books on introversion. On quiet power. On thinkers who changed the world not by shouting, but by showing. She said, the world needs listeners. Observers. Deep thinkers. People like you. It was the first time someone didn't try to fix me. She taught me how to present without performing. How to communicate without competing. How to honor my silence, not hate it. But change is never easy. During finals, stress swallowed me. I failed one paper. My scholarship was at risk. Friends. Gone. Sleep. Gone. Hope. Fading. I stopped writing. Stopped showing up to class. Stopped answering messages. One night, I sat by the window, staring at the lights of the city I never felt part of. And I wrote a letter. Not to anyone. Just, a letter. It said. I don't know what else to give. I tried being louder. I failed. I tried being myself. I failed. I don't belong anywhere. Maybe I'm just not meant to. I folded it. Put it in a box. Didn't send it. But that night, something inside me whispered. You're still here. That means something. It had been months. The letter I wrote, the one I nearly turned into a goodbye, it sat inside a dusty shoebox beneath my bed. One evening, while cleaning, I found it again. I opened it. Read every word. And for the first time, I didn't cry. I just breathed. That girl who wrote that letter. She didn't want to die. She wanted to be heard. That night, I took out my journal. And I wrote. I will never be loud. But I will no longer be invisible. I stopped pretending to be someone else. I stopped forcing myself into group chats, fake laughs, loud cafeterias. Instead, I woke early. I read before sunrise. I created quiet rituals, tea, writing, walks. I started saying no to things that drained me. And yes to the things that fed me, even if they were small, like solitude and silence. I accepted that I'd never thrive in chaos. But in calm. That's where I came alive. One cold winter night, I created a blog. No name. No photo. No expectations. Just words. Raw, unfiltered thoughts about loneliness, introversion, sensitivity, silence, shame, self-worth. I hit publish and closed the tab. I didn't check it for days. When I did, there were 12 comments. One said, "I thought I was the only one." Another, "You said everything I've never been able to explain." I cried. My quiet was no longer a prison. It was a bridge. One post, titled, "Dear Introvert, there's nothing wrong with you," exploded. 10,000 shares. Thousands of emails. People writing from Germany, Kenya, Brazil, Japan. Introverts. Empaths. Misfits. They didn't want advice. They wanted to be understood. I was invited to speak at a quiet leadership workshop. I almost said no. But something inside me whispered, "Do it your way." The auditorium was small. Warm. Safe. I walked up with shaking hands. My voice was soft, steady. I didn't shout. I didn't perform. I just told the truth. I shared the story of the silent girl in the corner. Of the letter she never sent. Of the day she chose to live quietly, powerfully. When I finished, no one clapped right away. Instead, there was silence. Beautiful, heavy silence. The kind introverts understand. And then, applause. But more than that, tears. Someone came up and whispered, "I finally feel like I'm not broken." I created a community called Quiet Souls. A space for people who didn't fit into loud rooms. We shared stories. Tools. Resources. We talked about managing energy, boundaries, saying no without guilt. I started coaching young introverts. Teaching them how to build powerful, peaceful lives. One girl reminded me of myself at 14, eyes filled with fear, notebook in hand. I looked at her and said, "You don't need to change. You just need to bloom." Years later, I visited my old school. I stood in front of a classroom full of kids. And I saw her, a quiet one, sitting alone at the back. I gave her a notebook. Said, "This saved me once. Maybe it'll help you too." She looked at me, confused, then smiled shyly. And in her eyes, I saw hope. I wasn't invisible anymore. And neither was she. Dear introvert. This world often misunderstands you. It says, "Speak up," when it really means, "Be louder." It says, "Network," when it forgets you value depth, not noise. It celebrates extroversion, applause, attention. But listen to me, you are not broken. You are not too quiet, too sensitive, too anything. You are exactly who you are meant to be. You process deeply. You listen completely. You love gently. You think before you speak. And that is rare. You are not a glitch in the system. You are the balance the system needs. So stop apologizing. Stop shrinking to fit into noise. Stop forcing your voice into someone else's volume. You were never meant to shout. You were meant to resonate. Some of the world's greatest minds, Einstein, Lincoln, J.K. Rowling, Gandhi, were quiet. And yet, they moved nations. You don't have to change your personality to change the world. You just need to stop hiding. Because the world doesn't need more loud voices. It needs more authentic ones. So walk your path. Softly. Steadily. Powerfully. And if the world doesn't hear you, write. Create. Build. Heal. But don't quit. Your silence holds galaxies. And you, dear introvert, are made of stars. With love. A fellow quiet soul who chose to stay.